about moving abroad, but you haven't pulled the trigger on it, I'm going to give you my top 5 favorite parts about moving abroad. We moved to Mexico almost a year ago from Dallas, Texas for a variety of reasons, and after almost a year here, I can give you a very clear picture of what it's like to live abroad. Starting off with one of the main reasons we actually moved, and it's culture. If you know Mexico, you probably love Mexican culture, but oh my gosh, it permeates through every sense of everyone's being here. And I really have appreciated the fact that was unexpected for me that people really work to live here, kind of similar to how it is in Europe, more than living to work. And it's been a huge shift and it's taken some time, but it's really nice to see how much people enjoy just eating out, for instance. You will never be hurried through a meal. They will never just put the check on the table. If you want to sit there for 8 hours, you could. Usually it's 3, which I've had to, prepare for. But I love it when someone wants to, go out to eat with you. It's very intentional, and you eat and you talk and you catch up and you feel very fulfilled by the encounter. Amongst everything else cultural, everything can be a celebration, and people really enjoy family time on Sundays and quality time together. And I've just really, really enjoyed that facet of this. Next up, weather. It's a quickie, but the reality in Mexico City, the weather is really amazing. Sure, there's some pollution. You have your days that you definitely feel a little bit different, and there's altitude here, so that takes some getting used to. But in general, Mexico, whether you want to live by the beaches or you want to live inland was surprising because it is just so pleasant every day. Right now, slightly chilly in the morning, in the evening, you can wear a sweater, but it's kind of that wear whatever you want every day sort of weather. And frankly, it makes it really nice to get outside all of the time because kids like to play. Kids like to go on walks outside, so we're not dealing with real inclement weather all of the time. You can sit outside and eat all the time as well. It's really not buggy here at all. So I've just really enjoyed getting to spend more time outside. Next up, the people. In general, the people are so warm and welcoming. They're excited when I'm working on my Spanish, and I'm always making effort to speak Spanish. Of course, in Mexico City, if you're curious, there's definitely a lot of neighborhoods where there's a lot of English being spoken. However, it is different than a lot of the more tourist beach destinations like a Cancun or Puerto Vallarta, some of these areas where English is almost more spoken than Spanish at some of the hotels. That's not the case in Mexico City as much, but everyone's so nice and so accommodating, and also really excited to just be helpful and share their knowledge. And I have been so surprised at the number of friends I've already made here. I thought that would be the hardest part for me, putting our child in school, which he loves, by the way. But I thought it would be so difficult for me to integrate into a community, especially if it was a lot of Mexican women that had been friends for a long time. But that hasn't been the case at all. So many of the moms at school are constantly asking me if I need anything. They've been so welcoming and so nice. And it just feels like we've already built such a nice sense of community in such a short period of time. The food, of course, the food is on the list because I have a bias and a real affinity for Mexican food. It's one of my favorite types of cuisine, but Mexico City in particular has one of the best food scenes I've ever encountered. Yes, there's Mexican food and there's different regional types of Mexican food, of course, but there's also incredible Italian food and really great Asian food, and the restaurant scene here is unlike anywhere else I've ever traveled to. It is incredibly international, just very worldly and very aesthetically pleasing, and even restaurants that you would think, oh, this just looks like an okay restaurant. The quality of the food, the quality of the service is just outstanding. Of course, I can't go without mentioning the price point here. You're looking at half, maybe a little more than half of what you would pay for an equivalent meal in the United States, so that doesn't hurt. And last up, I could go on and on about this, the quality of life that we are experiencing here. And if you're thinking about moving abroad, it is truly as great as you hope it might be. And this is for a variety of reasons. We have a toddler. So, we were really looking for some, more family support being here. And it goes just through everything on a day-to-day from, yes, we do have some more family support here, actual family support, but in general, families and children are treated so well here, and it's really turned my whole axis of what's happening, America. What are we not doing? Because restaurants here have play areas, childcare. I'm talking about really nice restaurants that would in the United States likely not be favorable to having kids. They're the restaurants that wouldn't offer high chairs, that sort of thing. Not only do most every single restaurant here accommodates children with high chairs, but in a large handful of restaurants, there are craft areas with supervision. You bring your child. I've gotten a lot of comments about, oh, I could never take my eyes off my child. Trust me. After a couple times, when you realize like how well families are treated and how well kids are treated, and that they're, these are up the stairs, there's no other exit, you have your eyes on the room the whole time. But when you're able to actually just enjoy a meal for a few hours and your child is actually getting enriching entertainment and not an iPad kid at the table, it's really lovely. Amongst other things, you can have more support in the home on a day-to-day basis, if that's something that you really desire, which I know as a working mom helps me out tremendously, being able to afford having someone help me, with the laundry and the other stuff in the home, as well as really everywhere else you go. So many places are so child-friendly. So from a family perspective, it's a no-brainer, and that's where we're at in our life. But in general, your quality of life, because of the thing I mentioned earlier about kind of the work-life balance, when people here have it figured out a whole lot more, there's just something special about never feeling rushed throughout your day. People are very accommodating if you're late, and there's traffic here, so people are often late, but people just don't seem to be as stressed about getting everything done. And I've noticed that with the parents at school and just all across the board. I feel that our quality of life is just really enriched in that way. Not to mention that there are so many incredible day trips and places that we've been able to go outside of the city that are so easy to get to, or being able to go to the beach and do things of that sort. Which just makes kind of trip planning and activities with our child so much easier and so much better. Of course, we still have all of the conveniences that we were accustomed to in the United States, from, food delivery services and things of that nature. I will say in Mexico, things are quite a bit more manual than I was accustomed to in the United States in this sense. Paying bills, for instance. I was really surprised to learn that a lot of the bill paying is done in person. There's not this online platform that you're paying a lot of bills, or if you need to go to the bank, you're doing that in person. So there's definitely some of those conveniences that can take a little bit more time. However, we still have all of the, restaurant delivery services. Pharmacies deliver here, which is awesome when you're sick and you just want to get your prescription delivered and a guy brings it on a motorcycle. That's very nice. So that's where I'm at right now with our family's big move to Mexico. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments here. I'm going to try and start doing more YouTube videos with this type of content on my page, so I can get your feedback and start making more content for you to see what you're interested in. If you want to hear more about schools and the logistics of the move and things of that nature, why don't you let me know, and I'll post about it later.